Caroline. I'm so excited to have you.
Likewise.
I am really excited to chat with you. I think that, well, you and I have had like such a fun getting to know each other because we're both in Atlanta.
Yes.
We met through the co-working kind of group that formed in Atlanta.
Yep.
Got to know each other that way, kind of realized we had some common threads in the industry and that we could kind of help support one another. But I'd love to hear you describe what is Preferred Office Network? What is your role there and a little bit about what you do?
Awesome. So Preferred Office Network, I'm head of global partnerships, been there over 12 years now. So it's been quite the journey, just following the evolution of co-working within the industry and myself and just me growing up as well. So it's been a wild ride for sure. But Preferred Office Network is a network of flexible workspaces, and we target multi-market enterprise clients. So we set out to be an alternative network to Regus back in the day when that was really the only, choice that enterprise companies had if they wanted any sort of continuity from market to market. So we were founded by 3 operators. Today, we're over 1,200 locations globally.
Wow.
And about 260 plus different operator brands make up our network. So a lot of, difference in terms of aesthetic of the spaces. But what we bring to the table for an enterprise client is a lot of streamlined benefits. So let's say a company is in 50 different flex markets. We're able to give them not only one invoice for all 50 locations, regardless of the operator. We also give them one point of contact who manages their entire portfolio for them. And then we give them one agreement. So instead of, negotiating lease terms at 50 different locations, sending 50 different payments and dealing with 50 different people, they use us, and it just cuts down so much on their side of things in operations and efficiency. So it's really a great benefit.
So I think this is huge because I feel like not enough people, or maybe this is just my ignorance, but not enough people understand the value of what you guys do because, or I wish more is a better way to put it. Maybe plenty do, but I wish more people understood the value of what you guys offer, because being more of my history and really OFS in general comes from the more traditional workplace side of things as opposed to the flex space. The flex space is an area that we're certainly growing into and gaining traction in and interest in. I'm doing a lot of research myself around it, obviously. But I think that when we think of workplace and we think of enterprise clients, we know that they have an issue, right? They've got a lot of the enterprise clients we work with are looking at unused square footage, or a lot of them are trying, maybe they've taken care of their real estate portfolio portion, but now they're trying to figure out how to provide community to the employees, even though they've shut down locations. And I think what y'all do is a beautiful blend between flex work and the more traditional minded workplace or workplace owners.
Sure.
I get, like, what is it that you maybe wish more people understood about what Preferred Office does? Because like you said, you make it so simple, and I feel like sometimes the natural inclination is to overcomplicate things. Like, what do you wish more people knew about what y'all do?
Yeah, so it is a little bit of a tough thing to explain initially because we don't own any space, we don't operate any space. So what we're really, we have to ask ourselves this question a lot, like, what are we selling? What are we offering? And it really is that account management. And it's, there's companies out there that have a tech stack that companies also want to leverage. We're really not in that game either. So it's kind of like, okay, exactly where do we fit into the market? And so I think that's sometimes where a little bit of the, confusion or just lack of understanding comes from, is like, well, what does Preferred Office Network exactly do? Are they spaces? Are they brokers? What are they? So we don't really quite fit into one, sort of sector. It's kind of a lot of overlap. So I think that's one thing for sure. But I think one thing I wish, clients understood more would be, we can really say yes to whatever your ask is. So don't limit us by, well, they probably can't, solve for this. We probably can, or we know someone that can. So I think that's one thing that I think we wish people knew. Also, we're a service to these clients at no charge. We don't have any sort of like membership fee to work with us or any sort of added cost. So we're really just here to be a resource, even if they work with brokers. I think that's another big sort of misconception. Well, we have a broker, so why would we need to leverage Preferred Office Network? We want to be a resource for the brokers. A lot of times we've got the relationships with the providers that they are just now maybe starting to get, especially with the smaller ones. I mean, everyone, knows we work in Industrious and Regis, but again, 260 other brands, like who are they? Like, where are they? So we want to elevate them. And many times they can do way more than some of the larger can do, only, simply because they're not as large. But amazing hospitality forward, amenity forward spaces that we can offer. And then if, let's say we have a more traditional client that's like, we just want, one private office, has to have an on-site receptionist, has to have great internet, and that they don't really care about the vibe per se, we can give them that. We have plenty of operator brands in our network that serve that type of customer as well. So again, we really are here to say yes to whatever the ask is. And then flexible workspace now extends beyond the co-working sort of model. So let's say we have a client that's in a co-working space, they're outgrowing it or feel like they need something maybe a little more branded or just a larger footprint. But they don't want to go back to the 5-year, lease that they, got out of. So we offer also something called preferred suites. And this is, typical, I guess, spec suite type of concept where it would potentially be in the same building that the co-working space is in, just on a different floor. So we can kind of work with landlord, operator, client, and bring everyone together to really solve for what the needs are. And so that's really what we bring to the table, is just saying yes to all the requests, as many as we can.
I almost feel like you guys are like, your product is time. Like you are gifting time and convenience.
Yes.
Because like when you're talking, I always, even though it's not my own personal issue to solve for like locations, as I'm not an owner operator, but I feel like I'm breathing easier just hearing you talk about it because of the complexity of what these asks are.
Sure.
If you're having to do that work yourself, especially in multiple regions,
right,
and you're having to look, that could be someone's full-time job. And if it is, that's great. But imagine the ease of maybe someone who is handling the real estate portfolio for an enterprise client to be able to come to you guys and say, here are all the things. Could you just let us know on that? And to let you guys be the experts and not have to become an expert on something that they don't have time to become an expert on.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we've done, projects where, again, single office, not too difficult. But then we have companies that have several, business units within that company. All of them have different requirements. All of them have different needs. And you're right, that can be a full-time job just managing like, okay, well, this one likes the traditional, like larger footprint. But again, we're here to just be a resource, help navigate all those challenges and decisions.
So you told me that you guys are looking at a rebrand later this year.
Yep.
So knowing what a big footprint you guys already have and the number of clients you're already helping, what's the motivation behind the rebrand? And then can you tell us whatever you can share about it?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, rebrand, it'll look very elevated. I think it's going to fit more with what our vision is, which is really all about community and connection. Our network is the operators. We could not offer a network without any space operators. And so we really want to, again, continue to elevate them so that, these companies know that there is choice out there. So the rebrand is coming. With that is also coming some enhancements internally with our proposal process, because we know like how quick you can get a proposal out is everything with AI on everybody's mind and like just really out there. It's like, okay, who can solve, for this the quickest sometimes and accurately. I think that's important too.
Absolutely.
So we're working with Syncaroo on a couple of integrations and enhancements. We're super excited about that. So yeah, going to be a big couple of months for us. And we really look forward to just hearing feedback from, everyone in the industry. We want to know, what you think. Is this working for you? How can we work with you better? Because again, we want it to be a mutual partnership. And I think back to your other question of like what sets us apart, I think that's another thing is we are here to actually be partners. We don't want to just be a transactional company in the marketplace. So when an operator joins Preferred Office Network, yes, we are bringing you, lead referrals and business, and that's what we're all here for, right? But there's more to it than that. We actually want to be partners. We want to help, bounce ideas. Like, what do you need help with? Do you need to find, I don't know, a great mail management platform? Like, who can we connect you with? What problems are you seeing? Is your meeting room revenue low? Like, what can we bring? What can we spotlight you on our social media and email newsletter? So things like that. But then also kind of bringing in OFS and room into the fold, we can definitely recommend furniture, furnishings. And so that kind of, I guess, leads me into an initiative that we are excited to also kind of bring to the table this year. So last year, we saw the need, again, with so many locations, 1,200 locations, we saw the need to really kind of identify like, okay, who are what we're calling our diamond partners. Mm-hmm. And so these are spaces and operators that truly understand not only our model and like how we work, because again, it's very different from a broker. It's very different from an aggregator. So partners that understood that, but also partners that are very hospitality forward and customer forward. So we want to recognize them. Like, we see that you are doing an amazing job in this industry. So we want to call you out as a diamond partner. So we did that last year. We now are in a partnership with a company called FlexGrade, who is intending to kind of like the hotel industry has like the star ratings.
Yeah.
So co-working spaces need some sort of quality assessment tool, some sort of unbiased, now that there's so many choices out there, like how does a company decide sometimes on like where they're going to go into space? So we partnered with FlexGrade to kind of like further that initiative in the marketplace where, what is important to enterprise customers first, and then how do these spaces stack up against that? So I think their tiers might be like gold and silver and bronze, but it's like you can be ranked on many different things. So let's say that your location isn't ideal. Maybe you can't help that. So maybe that's like a silver, but then when you walk into the space, you're greeted with, amazing hospitality and service. So you're going to be gold in that. So there's different, ways that you can rank, but bringing like the furnishings, elevated furnishings and like things that are going to last and make people feel like they're not just sitting in a stale office, that's all going to factor into not only these assessments, but also just bringing people back into work. No one wants to leave, their comfy house to come and work in a cold office environment where no one's there, or it's just kind of like, why did I get out of bed for this type of feeling? But when there's a buzz and when there's beautiful design and thoughtful design and hospitality, it will attract people because they're like, this is worth driving and leaving the house for. So
yeah,
excited about all that.
I completely agree with that. I have not heard that yet, the flex rating. That is really interesting to me. Mm-hmm. Especially because we were talking a little bit earlier with some of the other people in the group with us this week, and we were talking about this idea that one of the greatest just natural inherent aspects about the flex industry in general is that it's a very people forward industry. Mm-hmm. Like a workplace can be a people forward space, but it isn't always. And you do have the Dilbert farms that still exist out there. Right. And there are a lot of companies that have, no natural light, or the experience is just pretty dreadful.
Yeah.
And so while they can be designed with the human in mind, they aren't always. So Flex offers these variety of spaces, and as an individual human or as a company with A, B, and C, parts of your culture and who you are and who you want to be, or who you want your company to be, you can kind of search for what fits you best. Like you can kind of, you can't work for Walmart Corporation and then go work anywhere you want just because Target's corporate office is better. You can't go to Target, you gotta go to Walmart, Right. Like you gotta go to your office.
Yep.
But if you have access to flex spaces, you can really go based on your personality, your needs for that day. And so to amplify that one step further and to say, corporation wise or individual wise, you're coming and you're asking for this, this, and this, and we're okay with a bronze in this arena. It's okay if parking's difficult.
Right.
That's fine. This is a walkable community, so we won't have to deal with that.
Right.
But we really need gold in this category, and to be able to help people find that, which leads me to the question I wanted to ask you about people, kind of going back into that mindset about flex. What do you think our industry is maybe missing when it comes to the human-centered approach? Like, where could we get more in tune with the humans behind the enterprise, or the humans behind, even maybe it's role reversal, and the humans behind the owner operators you work with? Like, where are we missing access to people?
Yeah. So I think on the client side, it's interesting because the decision makers that we work with that are essentially, funding and signing the agreements, they are not the ones at the end of the day in the space. So we're kind of like sometimes at the mercy of them.
Sure.
And hopefully companies are becoming more employee, centric to a certain extent, where when these on-site teams are actually there, they're like, okay, we know this space might be less expensive, but it doesn't have whatever, the internet quality that we need. It's spotty, or, this location over here, parking's crazy. And when it's storming outside, we don't want to run in the rain, but again, you have to like translate that over to the people who are writing the checks. And like, this is why this matters. Because when people are coming in and collaborating, that's what you want them to do. You want them to be productive, turn out great work. And you can't do that when you're not in an ideal work setting. So I think on that end of things, I think, company culture, they just, listen to what your teams are asking for, because again, we can work with you on price. Most operators will. It's really just about the team, feeling good in the space and it being a good fit for them. And then I think on the operator side, I think, they're so much better at it because they deal with so many different types of people, because in these spaces you have got enterprise, you have got startups, you have got, entrepreneurs, like all kinds of different industries. And so there's this kind of like network within your space, truly. Like if you need a graphic design project, you could probably find someone on that floor that can help you out, which I think is really cool. But when I have stopped into, our different partner spaces, I'm always just like impressed. The community managers and like the center managers are just incredible. Like they know these people, they know, who they are and what they do. And they always have to have a smile on their face. And it's just, they're really the lifeblood of the spaces sometimes. So I think they get it. And so I know some operators have had to like cut down on staff, or even sometimes it's only like staffed part-time. And I totally understand all those reasons. But I think when you can have someone that is there, like, paper jam in the printer, or help me unlock my office, like it just, you feel like you're part of that community and that people really care, which I think most of these operators are absolutely, that's what they do. And that's why they're there. So
a lot of times you walk into a flex space, a co-working space, and you just feel, especially if you've like hit the nail on the head with one that fits your personality, right? And so you walk in and you feel welcome, and you can find a spot that just like screams, I really want to work here, and makes you feel comfortable, or makes you feel at ease, or it's the perfect place to get heads down work done. That is such a special feeling. And Flex naturally is getting really good at understanding people.
Yes, 100% agree.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention today, or anything I forgot to ask, or you want to tell about PON? I'm so grateful for this conversation, and it's always just so nice to hear what you guys are up to.
No, I think we covered everything. Just excited to continue our partnership and our journey. And it's definitely a fun industry to be part of. I'm grateful to be part of it with you. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Caroline. This was really fun.
Yes.